Hey, guys, it is Atomic Moon here bringing you an audio tutorial. My last couple of tutorials have been about mainly effects channels and adding effects to effects channels and vocal manipulation, things like that. I want to start getting into talking about mixdowns because I tweeted out a couple of weeks ago talking about this is an area for me personally that I think I could vastly improve in. I can get better at making cleaner mix downs, more professional sounding mix downs, and really just making my mixes and songs sounding better overall by kind of just putting a little bit more effort into getting a good clean mix down. Now, what exactly is a mix down? A mix down is just simply when you take all of your tracks that you have in your project, whether it be 20, whether it be 80, whether it be 100, whatever it is, and you take all those tracks and bounce it down to a single track. Back in the days of analog recordings and in analog studios today, you take your main left-right out that's in your mixer that combines all of your hardware gear and all of your tracks that are running through that, and you record it into an external recording device, whether it be a handheld recording device, a CD recorder, or whatever it is they decide to record on. If you're using a DAW, if you're doing everything on your computer like I am, then you can just bounce everything down within your computer. And the quick and easy way is to just, bounce down. Once you have your project open, just bounce down to everything into a left-right stereo mix. But what I want to focus on is actually kind of taking some steps before I do that master left-right bounce. I want to take some steps to kind of trim my files down into different audio files that I can process individually. Taking an 80-track project and turning into a 6-track project, and then turning that 6-track project into a main left-right single audio file. Let me say that I've had kind of a generic way of routing all of my channels before I would send it out to my pre-master, which is basically my stereo left-right bus. I would take all of my drum channels and group them together, and then my guitar channels and kind of group them together. But basically, they would all end up, if I open up this previous form of this session. By the way, this is a song I've had for a couple of years now that I've never gotten around to releasing, but to me, it's a good opportunity for me to practice and kind of work on getting better at this. Like I said, this isn't really a tutorial. This is kind of me teaching myself in a way and kind of taking you along the journey. This will be a multiple part series. Right now, I just want to talk about routing. I'm not going to play any audio from this song right now because with this project being open, it was peaking out my processor, and me trying to record on OBS and have this project open at the same time just was not going to work. So I had to take away a lot of the group processing that I have on here so I can get my CPU to cooperate. So anyway, this all you need to know is this is a song I've been working on for a couple of years. I've used it in a couple of live sets, so I'm trying to get it ready for release. Now, the way that I would previously have my project, everything routed to going to my stereo left-right, would be basically everything would be broken up into 3 categories, or basically 2 categories. If I can enlarge this so you can see it. You can't tell, but these are group channel tracks. I would have everything. It would be basically music would be treated as one group, and then the vocals would be treated as one group, which is fine. And then those 2 group channels would be routed to a pre-master, and then the pre-master would just be routed to my stereo left-right. I learned kind of this grouping technique from watching a tutorial from a producer that was mostly working with rock bands and was using kind of live analog sounds compared to somebody that's making electronic dance music or electronic music in general. Now, I'd been using that former template for the last couple of years, and I was wanting to kind of update it. So I noticed that a DJ that I was following on Twitter was releasing some stems for a remix that he was doing. And basically, stems are used a lot in electronic music because they allow kind of the track to be broken down in separate parts. They're mostly used so that DJs can send them to one another, and remixes can be made from the stems, or just different changes can be made from the stems and live performances and what have you. So I downloaded the stems that the DJ had uploaded, and I just kind of looked at how everything was grouped together, and what I noticed was the way that it was grouped was, if I scroll down here, basically all the drums are bussed together. Basically, all the drums are bussed together. The sub bass was given its own track. The instruments were all given their own track. He had them labeled as mids. Basically, everything that's going to be taking up in your middle frequencies. Because if you're doing electronic music, instruments can mean a lot of different things. It can mean a sample. It can mean a guitar. It can mean a synthesizer. Whatever. Basically, everything that's not drums, sub, or vocal is going to be going to the instrument panel. And everything, all the vocals were bussed to their own vocal channel. The effects were bussed to their own effects channel. And with effects, you have things, not necessarily reverb and delays and things like that, although you can bus that to your effects. But things like white noise, drone sounds, like background noises and things like that, would be routed to your FX channel. And then all of these group channels are routed to a pre-master channel. And the pre-master just kind of allows you to do some processing on your master bus without it actually being your stereo left-right. But it's just kind of a way to make things a little bit easier. If you're doing automations and things like that, it makes it a little bit easier to route everything to one channel before you route that one channel to your main left-right. So this is how I'm trying to group my channels now. I'm going to go through my project and kind of do my last kind of mix tweaks and stuff like that, and route them to these different channels. And then basically what I'm planning on doing is bouncing all these to stems. So basically I'm going to make an audio track that is just the drums of the song. I'm going to make an audio track that's just the sub of the song. I'm going to make an audio track that's all the instruments of the song. I'm going to get these different tracks together, and then in a separate project, I'm going to have them all laid out in actual audio files, and from there I can process them more and just kind of get those things to work together. And really what this comes down to is mainly bouncing things to audio, which is something that I've really trying to incorporate more into my productions lately. Usually I get an instrument where I kind of like it, and then I freeze it. And freezing instruments is okay. It saves processing power. But there's just something about bouncing things down to audio that has a lot of different, what I think, neurological effects as well as practical effects. Practical being saving CPU power. Neurological effects, in my opinion, if you have a synthesizer, if you have a piece of audio you're working on, and you bounce it to audio, it's like it's finalizing it in your head. It's when you're mixing it, when you're mixing a song and you don't have your synth bounce to an audio track, you still in your head know, like, okay, I can go into that synth and reprogram it and mess with it and do different things like that. But once you bounce it to audio, it's like it's final. It's like, okay, that's what that is. And from there, I can manipulate it I can further manipulate it. And that's how you start getting into resampling and things of that nature. Right now I kind of have all these bits of audio right here were formerly synths that I'd bounced down to audio. Got my sub bass right here. All of my drum samples are right here. All bounced down. So what I'm gonna do is go through all of these different all of these different groupings and group them to these group channels right here. And once I have that, I will bounce these individually into audio tracks, and then I'll be able to edit them a little bit better later. And that's really all I wanted to cover in this video. I'm not going to actually do the audio bounces now, but because there's still a little bit more work that I need to do to this mix. But that's going to be my target, and then in my next tutorial video, I will be going over what what I've got with my bounces and with my stem bouncing. So this is, like I said, this is a new mixing technique that I'm trying to incorporate. So I'm kind of learning as I go and then showing you as well. So hopefully we'll have some good results with this. So stay tuned for the next part in this series, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time.